Well, I think I always picture songwriting as a train set in your garage, well, my uncle Sip, he works on classic cars. That's what his passion is. And he does that in his garage. Like, I just think of it as tinkering with things. So I can have a day where I can tinker and I can try to create and try to write a melody and come up with a story or write these lyrics, and none of it I hate at all. It all sucks. But once I get past that, I can get to where I can find a little kernel of where I want to go.
Joe, man, what has been up? What have you been doing currently and not so currently?
Currently, I've just been, we just went on a 7-mile walk. Day before, we went on a 3-mile walk. Day before that, 10. We've just been walking a ton. That's been helping us through all this craziness the most, is just, staying away from people, but like going on long walks. Musically, I'm working on a project called Narrowcast. It's more of like an indie project influenced by like shoegaze and I guess like old Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, that's sick.
And a bunch of, influences throughout the years. But I'm really proud of that. We have 3 songs mastered and done, and then we have 5 songs in the works. So very happy about that.
Nice.
Took not touring, not doing any, I toured for a long time and I'm not doing that anymore. But it's really good to, do music for just the sake of writing and sake of recording and the bare bones of it all. And, we're working from home. My wife's working from home. I'm working from home. She's watching Breaking Bad for the first time. I'm watching it for the second time.
Nice.
The show's literally perfect.
Oh,
show's
yeah.
perfect. But that's really it, man. We play a lot of video games. We play Atari to 64 to Wii U. Haven't played Switch, but we play the whole thing. Like, we go through all the different systems and play head-to-head games and stuff. Do that a lot. Play a lot of board games.
Yeah, you got to keep your mind occupied for sure, man. As long as you'll get stir crazy, man.
Yeah, no, we're always kind of like that. We're homebodies, so this has been it's been a scary transition when we watch it. Like, we watch the news and we kind of delve outside of our own 4 walls. But as far as our daily life, it's been pretty much the same. It's just been very we've just been trying to stay as safe as we can, and be conscientious of going out and how we kind of interact with the rest of the world. But other than that, it's been pretty much the same.
Nice.
Yeah, I hear that. We're my wife and I are. I'm watching The Sopranos for the 6th time through.
So good.
It's her second time all the way through, and her first time was like a month ago. We finished watching it, and she was like, "Holy shit, that was great!" And then a week later, we're just sitting on the couch, and I was like, "You want to watch Sopranos again?" And she was like, "Hell yeah!"
Dude, we watched I think we watched The Godfather at your house a long time ago. I remember we watched like 1 and 2. And it's so good. Sopranos is great. There's a few I think there's like one season that gets really weird, where it's like dream sequence episodes.
Yeah.
But I actually respect that, because they were on such a high platform, and just to go off on a tangent is really risky. I don't know if it paid off, but the show is, acting wise, the show is amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I forgot that you were chilling with me watching the Godfather movies. Like that.
Yeah, me, you, and Carl. I don't know who else was there. I know it was me, you, and Carl, maybe Pat. But yeah, we watched 1 and 2 at your house long time ago.
Awesome.
That was like the second time I think I've watched The Godfather. Now I've seen it like, I don't even know, 10 times. But Sopranos is amazing. I've watched it 3 times through, I think, maybe 2 or 3 times through. But Breaking Bad, oh man, it sucks because Sopranos is was my favorite TV show of all time. Breaking Bad may be better. It may be better.
Those two for me are in my top. They're in my top 5, but I got to go with Game of Thrones personally.
I love fantasy too.
I'm a huge fantasy guy. Even though the last season was crummy, I still enjoy it. I still think it was great.
It wasn't just the last season, dude. When they went into the North and they started joking a lot, you could tell that they were off. They were like getting off of the books. That was a little much for me. It felt like a different show. That's when I started falling off. And then Arya with the Ice King scene when he got killed, like I jumped off the couch.
Me too.
It had that effect.
It's crazy
But-
about like that last season. I remember the last season I really was disappointed, except for one or maybe two episodes. One episode that really stood out for me was when Daenerys invaded King's Landing and they were just torching King's Landing, all the buildings. To me, that was the best, crazily good episode. Unbelievable. But the rest of the season, with the exception of maybe the last episode or second to last, I forget, were really good. And then when you find out, spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it,
it's too late now. You haven't seen it.
You find out who who the real the king is at the end. But if you go in the first, Derek, was in the actually first season cover that it foreshadows the very last episode?
It's Ned Stark sitting on the throne, and there's like a three-eyed raven sitting there with him on the throne or something, so like that, looking at him. I don't know.
In it, it's I don't know if that was. I'm sure it was intentional, or maybe not. I don't know. But it was
I can tell you the moment it fell off was when the dragon looked at the throne and burnt it down. I was laughing my ass off. That's where it all went to shit. That was it.
That was kind of like Jurassic Park Lost World or something like that, or I forget which one. It's when at the very end when it's like the hybrid raptor T-Rex. Or is the mutant was like out of control?
No. They killed the mutant dinosaur, and then the T-Rex and the raptor looked at like, "Are you okay?"
No.
It was like so bad.
So you got the mutant one that's out of control. Then they call in the T-Rex and the old school T-Rex and the raptor in for reinforcement, and they kill the mutant, and then the mutant dies in the water, and then this super stupid cheesy moment, just like the Game of Thrones. The dragon is somehow is human thinking. The T-Rex and the Voss, they look right at each other as if to say, "Are you okay?"
It's so terrible.
And they both give it like, and they go both the separate ways.
Dude, you were sitting next to me. You were sitting next to me in the movie theater, and when that moment happened, you whispered, "Are you okay?" And I lost my mind laughing.
So bad.
My God.
This
my
is
God.
so bad on another level.
God, it's so bad. But it's hilarious.
Dude,
it's hilarious.
Joe, here's a memory that I have of you as well, and I love this moment, this memory. So we were going to see James and the Giant Peach, like on a field trip. Do you remember that?
I know I've seen that movie 3 or 4 times. I know that the first time I saw it was in school of some kind. I don't remember. So tell me. I don't remember.
The teacher, I forget who the teacher was.
What grade?
Who it was at the time. I don't remember if it was, 3rd or 4th, maybe
Second
even
grade, we had Mrs. Swanson together. That was 2nd grade, and then
no, I had Miss Armeo.
Oh, hold on.
I had Mrs. Southard in the 3rd grade.
I had Miss Nintendo. She became Mrs. Schultz, but it was Miss Nintendo in 1st grade. Mrs. Swanson in 2nd, and then Miss McCarthy in 3rd, and then 4th grade. I don't remember. So maybe it was 4th grade. We went on a hike, and I had to go to the bathroom. And I remember I went to the bathroom. It was really embarrassing because it was in the middle of this giant long hike. So I go behind this rock. I do my business. They give me toilet paper in a plastic bag. I bury everything. I come back, and the counselor goes, "Where's the rest?"
What?
And I go, "Excuse me?" And they go, "Where's the rest?" And I go, "I buried it." And they go, "You're not supposed to do that. That's littering." And I'm like, and I just remember being so thankful that I just did what I should have done. Because in 5th grade, if you walked back to a giant group, like your whole classroom, with shitty toilet paper in your hand, you're never living that down. That is going to travel with you and embarrass you for the rest of your life.
That's amazing. Yeah. What? They wanted you to like put it in a bag and like take it with you, look on the
from my memory, from my 5th grade memory, I remember them being like, "Where's the rest of the toilet paper?" and being so thankful that I did not listen to them, and I just like did the thing that I thought I was supposed to do, come back, and that was it. But I was in Boy Scouts for a long time and Cub Scouts and all that, so I was like, if I'm cool with this, you got to be cool with this too. That's Horizon.
So funny.
Yep.
Horizons, I have one specific memory, very, very specific. I was fighting with this kid, Sean Lasseter. We had an argument because he kept referencing the song Ricky Raccoon, and I'm like, "Dude, it's Rocky Raccoon." He's like, "Nah, man, it's Ricky." And I was like, "Fucking hate you, man."
You're very passionate about music. You've always been. So I could see that pissing you off. I remember when I was in kindergarten, and me and Mike Wilson got an argument about the Beatles. He didn't like the Beatles. And his mom was driving us home, and he was like, the Beatles suck. And he was like quoting some movie that shit on the Beatles, like some comedy movie or whatever. And I was like, you can't not like the Beatles are the greatest band of all time. And she was like, everyone's got, everyone has the right to their own opinion or whatever. And I go, not on the Beatles. They don't. And they're just being so upset. I just remember being so upset. And that was just how it was, man. We come from a strange town.
Yeah.
I love our town, but
So
man, when you go back, it's such a trip, man.
For sure.
But
absolutely. I'm all fucked up. I have a Doors t-shirt on, and then I have
Doors are amazing.
Pink Floyd sweatpants on. I don't know what's going on.
Those all great. Doors are my wife's favorite band of all time.
Yeah, they're excellent.
When I watch their live videos online, when I watch them on YouTube, I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
You have to record on your end.
Years. I don't know if you listen. Have you listened to Big Star?
They're looking early 70s band, right?
So the
13?
the theme song. Yeah, the theme song for that 70s show. So I found out. So I love Goo Goo Dolls, and I love the Replacements and Gaslight Anthem. I love that genre of like, it's almost like folky punk mixed with like 70s rock influence. It's just a bunch of things going on. And I was going through the whole discography of the Replacements, and they have a song called Alex Chilton. And I'm like, who the hell's Alex Chilton? I don't know who this is. So I started looking to him and his songs and his solo stuff. And it's good, but it's not Big Star, and it's not the Box Tops. So I was listening to Alex Chilton stuff, and there's a few songs on there. I'm like, damn, these are amazing. Like, I totally get why Replacements love this guy. And I Wikipedia'd him, and I found his other bands, and realized dude wrote this theme song at the 70s show. That 70s show re-recorded, which is amazing. I think that's great. Heard the song 13 for the first time, which was long overdue.
Mm-hmm. Monumental.
And then the Box Tops, he wrote his first hit. Dude wrote his first hit song. He was 16 years old. That song, The Letter. It's unbelievable.
The Letter, yeah. That's a good song.
Yeah, Neon Rainbow. That song's amazing. There's so many. I got a list that's like 15 or 20 songs on my Spotify of just Box Top songs, and it's insane that band didn't get bigger than they were. They were generally big, but big. Definitely a successful band, but not huge like the bands that listened to them. They were a band where the big bands listened to. But man,
exactly.
Yeah, I'm very happy I found them, but I'm very bummed that I found them in my 30s and not, when I was like, 12 years old, or all the bands like Black Sabbath and the Beatles and the Doors and all the bands I listened to. Man, that band would have been right there with all of them for me at that time.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's so cool that still exists.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still a big 60s and 70s guy. That's always been kind of like my thing. But I don't remember when specifically it was. I remember the last time I saw you, I think we were hanging out with Carl. Yeah. And we were chatting or whatever. And then I remember years later, I don't remember when it was or what it was. I just remember the feeling I had. And somebody was like, they didn't mention you at first. They mentioned the band Transit. And they were like, have you heard this band? And I said, I haven't heard them. And they showed me the music. And they were like, this is Joe Boynton. And I was like, just so blown away. I was like, wait, what? Like, I haven't seen him in a bit, so I don't know what he was up to. And then here you are with this like really worldwide popular band. And I was I was more intrigued than anything. And I was like, that's freaking awesome. But did you guys ever imagine like you would get the popularity that you did? I mean, of course, it's a kind of a silly question, but you guys took off, man.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. Like, everything with me with music started from, like you were saying, like the Beatles and Black Sabbath and the Doors, and that's where everything started with me. It started with a Walkman. I had a Walkman and shitty headphones, and I was obsessed with like the bands that my dad showed me when I was a kid. And then I loved Korn and Limp Bizkit, and Rage Against the Machine, who's obviously great, amazing. And a lot of and then around them, like, they were great. And then I listened to a lot of bad music that I consider really bad, like Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that stuff. And then Napster came along, and
Yeah.
I started finding out about different bands and illegally downloading like different bands and making like mixed CDs and stuff like that. And I found H2O, Stretch Armstrong, Saves the Day, the Get Up Kids, Movie Life. And I started learning like, whoa, once I heard Saves the Day, I felt the connection. Once I heard Stay Where You Are, it was like a connection between that and what I loved about the Beatles. So I was like, whoa, this is a band that's singing songs for me, like more for my like generation. And it's like a tunnel from the Beatles till now. Like, you know what I mean? And I remember throwing out, like I literally was very dramatic that age. I was like, fuck all these other bands. Like I threw out CDs, I threw out cassette tapes and CDs of new metal bands and bands that just weren't good. Like that I decided were bad after hearing Stay Where You Are and Through Being Cool and, was a 10 Minute Mile by the Get Up Kids and a few of their albums. And I started singing those songs and really remembering all the words and all the melodies and really taking in that. And I bought a guitar, and we used to me and my friend Sean Willard, we used to create our own half days, and we used to leave school after lunch and go to Guitar Center, go to 7-Eleven, Guitar Center, go to my house when my parents weren't home and try to write songs.
Oh, sweet.
We did that every
awesome.
day for like 2 years, and we never played shows or anything. But then from there, it kind of went into going to local shows, going to bigger shows like Pop Disaster with Blink-182 and Green Day and Saves the Day. That was a big eye opener for me. And going to Warped Tour was huge. And then from that, we started going to local shows in surrounding towns. And I was supposed to study for a final when I was at Wentworth freshman year, and I went to see a band because there was a local bands that I heard about through MySpace called Transit, and they sounded like Lifetime, which old Saves the Day sounds like Lifetime because that was a big influence for Saves the Day. And I wanted to see them, and they didn't have a singer when we went. So we went to this show in Stoneham, Massachusetts. I think it was maybe the 4th or 5th time I've ever went to that venue. And Transit was playing before me in the band, obviously. And they had 2 friends filling in, just making up lyrics, like ad-libbing lyrics over the songs. And they said over the microphone, if anyone wants to sing, if anyone wants to try out for this band, let us know. So I had no confidence in myself to do that. And I was talking to Carl, our friend Carl. And Carl said to me, he goes, I think you should do it. Because I wanted to do it, and you could tell I wanted to do it. And he was all gung-ho, like, yeah, fucking try. Like, go do it. So he dropped me off. We were at a Chipotle. I met Transit at a Chipotle in Stoneham, Massachusetts. And I showed them a song. I wrote over 2 of their songs that they had instrumentally on MySpace. And Tim Lander's girlfriend at the time said that she thought that I was the best out of the people that tried out, and the rest of the band may have agreed or said okay. And we wrote the song Castaway, which was on Let It Out and on This Will Not Define Us, and it was on Something Left Behind, which is our acoustic album. So that was the first Transit song that started getting attention locally. And it was one of the first ones, maybe the 3rd song we wrote as a band. And that's where it all started. And we played local, and we had a big following local pretty fast. And then we started playing upstate New York and Long Island. And then we started touring up and down the East Coast. We toured with Wonder Years and Balance and Composure and Lost for Words. And then from there, we started going West Coast. I can tell you the whole history. I have a very visual memory. But it all started from like just wanting to hear a band that sounded like a band that I really liked. And yeah.
Nice, dude.
That's great too, because like I was saying, like when I heard your music, I went through a lot of the albums listening to you, especially like listening to you, because I thought your vocals were just so spot on, man.
Thank you.
And just the songwriting and everything. And I was like, yeah, I remember when he told me he liked the Beatles, and like I can hear some of the influences of some of the music you liked early on and stuff. And I was kind of correlating with you did with what I do. And it's weird because I was writing like folk music, like on my acoustic for the longest time, and making these really melodic songs. And then Steve comes around and starts adding like slap bass, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
So good.
So we became like a funk, like a neo funk thing. I don't even know what it's called, but it's weird where like music takes you, and I was interested to hear where it took you. But you guys, you like traveled the world. You guys toured Europe, all the stuff like, and now, what was that like? I can't even imagine, because at this point, like, I always think to myself, could I do that? Could I do that? And I feel like I burned myself out so early on. So
it's like, yeah.
It's so first of all, I remember being in elementary school. I don't know where I saw Steve play bass, but I remember it was in elementary school, and it blew my mind. There was two people growing up in elementary school where I felt that I knew, like, it was inspiring, where art felt like an unattainable thing for me. And it was you, and it was Brendan Powers with his drawings and his paintings.
yeah,
Wow.
he was so talented.
I remember seeing Steve play bass, and I remember seeing things that Brendan worked on and being like, wow, I don't know anything about this. Like art. I don't know anything about this at all. And that blew my mind, because I felt like you guys were like very early on, kind of honing in on a craft that I wasn't even dipping my toe into at the time. So I was a late bloomer, definitely a late bloomer with music and creating things.
No, I appreciate that, man. When you said elementary school, what year did you?
With the Vets. I went to the Vets, and then we went to Belmonte.
Steve,
when did you graduate high school? What class were you?
So I graduated high school in 2005.
See, I don't know.
But not Saugus High, though. You went somewhere else, right?
I went to the Voc.
Okay, yeah, okay. Because I remember the last time I saw you, Joe, I feel like it was like Belmonte Middle School was the last time we were in classes together.
I remember you guys, like, before we were friends and stuff, like more like classmates and acquaintances and stuff, was from Vets, and from either anything that the schools mingled or did things together, like the other surrounding elementary schools, and then middle school.
I was gonna say, I thought when you said elementary school, I was like, oh, that might have been, maybe it was somebody else you were thinking, because I started playing in middle school. I think middle school.
Then it was middle school. It's a blur.
It's all blended together.
Because I met Steve in middle school, 6th grade.
And I also remember watching things on the local channel. Did you guys ever do things on the local channel, like the Saugus local channel thing?
I'm sure I did at one point, and someone probably asked me to do it.
Maybe that was what I was watching at the time.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
know.
It's like all these random
it's another lifetime ago at this point, but
oh my god, yeah. I just, it's so many different, like public acts. I remember I did a gig with some friends of mine, but not for school. It was like it was during high school at this point. We did a gig on it was public access for Jamaica Plain in next to Boston. And it was like, okay, let's do it. So we get there. It's this, I don't even know what material we played. I guess it was originals. And we get there, and it's Spanish. It's for Spanish people. There's nobody there who speaks English except for like our contact. So the guy introduces us in Spanish. We're like, okay, let's do this. That was like one of the weirder gigs I've had. I was like, I don't know what's happening right now, but this is fun. I think we're live in Brazil right now because he broadcasted it over there. So I don't know. Maybe we're huge in South America, and I don't even know it.
Yeah, I just remember I've seen you play early on, because you've been playing forever, like since you were very little, correct?
Well, I started playing when I was 14 years old.
14, okay.
Yeah, and I think I was I don't even know. Like,
I'd have to ask Carl. You know what? If Carl would remember where we've seen you play, but I know I've seen you at least.
I know, like I did the talent show.
Times.
Talent show a couple times, maybe
at least twice. At least twice in my life.
Joe, are you still like? I'm assuming you're still in touch with Carl.
Carl lives next door to me. He lives down here.
I thought he lived in like Alston.
We've been friends for 26 years. He lives a couple 100 feet that way. Like,
let's get him on. Let's get him on.
I texted him a couple years ago, and I was like, "How are you?" And he's like, "You should come down to Alston and come to this restaurant or something." And that was the last I heard from him. So I had no idea he moved there. That's so funny.
He was living in Pensacola for like a year, and then he moved to Charlotte.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the same. He's exactly the same. I love him. He's
exactly the same.
He's exactly the same.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
Yep.
Carl used to do this thing where, like,
he's a very talented writer. Anything he showed me writing wise, like if he wrote like a poem and stuff, he's brilliant. He doesn't share his stuff, but he's very, very talented. especially with brewing beer. He's like a straight chemist. Like he's unbelievable.
Wow.
But no, he's great. I love him. He's been my brother for a long time, since 6th grade. Definitely one of my closest friends, like you guys. Like, you know, I've been through the ups and downs of everything. So,
Wow.
yep.
He used to call me like on a Saturday morning and he'd be like, "You want to get lunch in Rhode Island?" I'm like, "What?"
That's exactly how it is now. Dude, we walked 10 miles to get a bagel. He loves it. I didn't think the bagel was that good, but we walked 10 miles. We walked 10 miles probably about a month ago.
What the hell?
And got breakfast sandwiches, and my feet were killing me. I was dying.
So no cars? No one's got a car?
No, we all have cars, but like he loves to walk. He walks.
Oh, okay.
He knows all of Charlotte like the back of his hand already. I've been here for 3 years. He's been here for like 1. He's walked everywhere. Yeah.
Dude,
that's so funny.
We got to make it down there one of these days, and
do it. Yeah.
We'll walk 10 miles to get like dinner.
No, we won't. We'll get some good food like across the street.
Well, you will drive the car though. I ain't gonna walk.
I wish I could show you. I wish I could show you this bar. Where I'm living in this apartment complex. Like, there's another building like directly in the path, but we have this bar called not the Angry Beaver. That's a Nickelodeon cartoon. The Thirsty Beaver. Great show. Lickety Splits. The Thirsty Beaver. There's a bar. It's a small little shack that's been here like forever. And these apartment complexes, like the one me and Amanda are living in, all came up kind of out of nowhere. And the Thirsty Beaver is like, "No, we're not selling our land. Like, we're staying." And it's small. It's a very small bar. So built around it, if you Google search the Thirsty Beaver Charlotte, completely around the entire like bar, except for the front where you can access it, is this giant apartment complex. And I think it's the biggest middle finger in American architecture.
That's
So
so
when
funny.
you see this little bar surrounded by this giant thing, you're just
like kids playing in the backyard and stuff next to it.
It's so sick. It's like zero fucks were given in the construction. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. Damn. So we're right across the street from that. I love it.
I can't believe it.
I don't like going there. Like I don't hate it. It's, you know, it's got what's that show? It's like something duty. Old 70s stuff.
Oh, that was Hey Dude.
No, not Hey Dude. That was Nickelodeon in the 90s. It's like Howdy Doody or something. Like,
oh yeah.
Really creepy. This really creepy old show is only playing on the TVs. Like they only play that on their TVs, and it's a lot of Elvis and Johnny Cash and just stuff all over the walls. And you walk in and there's like 200 bras hung up over the doorway. It's like it's out there. It's like a biker bar. It's crazy looking. That's hilarious. The fact that they just didn't sell their land and they're like, "No, we're staying."
Damn. You could build your apartment right around us.
Like a horseshoe, like around it completely. And you're just like, wow. I don't know if I love this or hate it. I just respect the shit out of it.
So that's right next to you over there?
Yeah, it's literally like right across the street. Like we got Central Ave right here. And it's literally on the other side of our building.
Hilarious. So it's part of the apartment complex. It's like
not ours, but the one across the street. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's like the whole place have like pools. This one just happens to have a bar. It's right there.
The funniest thing about Charlotte's it's like living in a traveling city. Like it doesn't feel like the same place. The longer you live here, it keeps changing. There's so many people moving here. There's so many people moving here. There's so many restaurants that keep popping up. So many breweries that keep popping up. The funniest thing I've realized about here is there's so many places with these like garage doors. Some of them are fake garage doors, and some of them are like they access it, like they open it up. They can open up like the whole wall, and you can like feel like you're outside even though you're inside.
Oh right.
That's the funniest thing is like everywhere has the same. It's like got that aesthetic. But no, we love it here. The weather's amazing. People are amazing. Food's amazing. Barbecue's insane.
Nice.
Yep. It was just like I lived in Massachusetts for 30 something years. 30 years, and it was good to have a change for sure.
Yeah, I actually moved to Florida. Like I was living in Florida around like 2008-ish, and it's kind of similar. It's like traveling city kind of vibe. When I first got there, it's just like it's one way, and then moved back up here, and then I went to visit a few years later, and I was like, where'd all these buildings come from? It's like a Trader Joe's here now. It's like it just keeps morphing because like, you know, like up here everything's pretty similar. It's like, you know, whatever, Northeast Massachusetts, it's kind of similar more or less. You get new places, but down like places like Florida, in North Carolina, it's like got a lot of room for development. So you get these like you said, the traveling city kind of vibe, and it's just like it's just constantly changing and evolving.
I will say though, I
Yeah.
do miss the architecture, like seeing houses and buildings and the timelessness and like just the history. The history back home is so inspiring that you don't, and the ocean is so inspiring that you don't realize how beautiful it is until you leave. So I
That's true.
definitely miss that.
That's
And
true.
the food here is great. It's great food. Barbecue here is insane. If you were to eat the barbecue here up there, you'd be paying like $100 a meal, $200.
No way.
It would be way more expensive than here, which is dirt cheap for food that you just like, Jesus Christ, like it's so good. But anyway, um, I definitely miss a lot of stuff back home because it's part of who you are. It's part of how you brought up. So moving, like not being near the ocean definitely messes you up. Being landlocked definitely messes you up. Like
Oh yeah.
when you're near the ocean for as long as we've been and you can see it from some of your windows of places you've lived. Like I know all of us have probably lived in a place where we can see the ocean from where we are, at least at one point in our lives. And, you know, that's amazing. It's
Oh
beautiful.
yeah.
For sure.
So I do miss that, but there's a lot of great stuff here, and our friends here are amazing. We love our friends here.
And you got Carl next door, right next door.
Got Carl next door. Yeah, we've got a lot of friends that are musicians here.
How was the music
haven't
scene
played-
down there? Is it
It's good. It's good. It's not as like Massachusetts has so many musicians. You know, we got Berkeley. We have so many towns creating so much amazing content. So many amazing songs, so many projects, either that last a long time or just a few years or, you know, maybe a year. I haven't delved into the local scene as much as I wish I have. I'm hoping to do so when my project now starts playing shows and stuff.
excellent? Yeah, what was the name of that project again? You mentioned that you guys are working on.
Narrowcast. So
Okay.
the band's called Narrowcast. There's most of the two members that I'm playing with actually live in Massachusetts. Is Matt Morin and Aviv Maratz, both in like the Salem area.
Nice.
So they're writing the music and recording it up there. And then I'm recording vocals with Adam, my friend Adam here. And then I have a band that plays live with me here. And, you know, they're allowed to play shows. You know, they're going to do their thing if they want to sing my parts up there. Like, it's like this weird kind of 2-band project, but writing wise, it's just us 3. But it, you know, it can take more forms because of the distance between, you know, Charlotte and Boston. So
it's like these days, it's like you can do that though. It's like
yeah, we're literally recording an album right now, just digitally. Like our drummer passes the drums to Steve. Steve adds the bass, sends it to our guitar player. Then I'll sing it, and then that'll
it's all
be
wave files. Send each other
like
wave files. Everyone's
digital.
got the same,
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I love it. So therapeutic. Any day I've got to even work, like finish a verse or get the bones of a song kind of figured out, like mapped out, like where I want to go. It just feels like your birthday. Like nothing else can happen in that day. You could have a shitty day at work. You know, something terrible can happen. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even faze you. So that's the biggest thing I get out of it. And just like we're making this weird like the songs are all about like a concept record. Like we wrote like the science fiction kind of like a short story, and all the songs have to do with different scenes from that story. And then some of the songs are just feelings, like how I feel just in general, and it fits the vibe of those stories too. So we're making these weird songs, and I've been kind of have a weird approach to songwriting. Similar approach to Transit. Transit was more about friendship and family and, you know, falling out of love, for the most part, like a lot of the themes. This is more about characters and, you know, places and the time of day, and it's more a cinematic approach to trying to write songs than before. So it feels new. I need it to feel new.
wow.
Overall.
You said cinematic, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to use more visual words
Okay.
this project, which I really love. I love Thursday. If you ever heard War All the Time by Thursday,
I
or
don't think I have. I don't think I have.
Cursive. Oh, War All the Time is amazing.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was my album in high school. That was like
Oh,
that was my
dude.
favorite album.
Is this on YouTube by any chance?
War All the Time, yeah. Oh yeah. That
Right,
came out on DreamWorks. There was them and Thrice. Remember Thrice, Artist in the Ambulance?
That sounds
those albums
really,
came
really
out.
familiar.
Is it? Yeah, yeah. That's, it's funny. I was just thinking it's really cool that you can go from, you can kind of do both things. Where like I know like something like Young New England, like Boston Never Drinks Alone. Like you can talk and sing about things that are real, and then go
Yeah.
to like a fictional thing. I've always had the problem where I can't write about real things. I always have to make up stories because that's where my imagination goes. When I try to write something that I've actually done, it just seems boring to me for some reason. So I'm like, let me add this whole thing that doesn't have to do with me. And it's just like, that's like my process, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's cool that you can do both. You can kind of separate them both,
Well, I think I always picture songwriting as a train set in your garage, well, my uncle Sip, he works on classic cars. That's what his passion is, and he does that in his garage. Like, I just think of it as tinkering with things. So I can have a day where I can tinker and I can try to create and try to write a melody and come up with a story or write these lyrics, and none of it I hate at all. It all sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I can do a whole day and it all sucks. But once I get past that, I can get to where I can find a little kernel of where I want to go. And that
little nugget.
Yeah, a little nugget. So if I can find that, I'm going to go for it. So that's what I do now. I literally, like with when I first started this project with Matt, I didn't know where I wanted to go. If it was going to be more like transit songs and continuing where I left off at there. And I was like, you know what? I did that for 10 years. Like I'm good. I want to do something else. So I started looking into what other genres inspire me. So I started looking into like metal. So I started looking into black metal and death metal and going down these deep dives of lyrics from those bands and looking for certain words that I think are really unique. And then I started getting really into like Super Nintendo RPGs and playing a lot of those and kind of reading the dialogue and being like, wow, there's some really beautiful art. There's some really a lot of time people put into this.
Yeah.
We were watching True Detective season 1. That was a huge inspiration for the songs the 3 songs that I have mastered and done now. Because that season was unbelievable, and old X-Files. So instead of trying to write songs that I think I will relate to or fans will relate to and where we can meet in the middle, I'm just writing stuff now that I'm working full time. I'm just writing stuff that I think is fun for me and I think that I haven't heard, and I get excited to wake up to write this thing. You know what I mean? So it's more like a carrot, creating a carrot on a string that I can chase is what I'm doing now. And that's how I find my inspiration.
Wow.
That's amazing you said that, because the fact that you can listen to black metal and get references and get ideas from that. I do the same thing. We did this thing actually recently. We have this EP called the 7 Witches EP. And we have like this, it's like a funk style of music, but I was like, I'm so sick of like traditional funk music where like everything is just positive. And they just like James Brown wouldn't even say words. We just make noises.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to put dark lyrics over funk music. And I was like, maybe the genre could be dark funk. And we have a werewolf song, 7 Witches. Like I love dark elements in music. I think it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I've listened to black metal too. Like I went on my Mayhem. I've listened to Mayhem a lot lately, and it's
dude.
It's tough to get into, but once you hear the words, you're like, this is really good.
Dude, that documentary Until the Light Takes Us blew my mind, dude. I watched the movie.
Stuff.
I didn't love the movie they did for them.
Oh, with Rory Culkin.
I love the Culkins, dude. I love the Culkins.
Yeah, me too.
I love that whole family is great. They do such a good job. But I just felt like once I watched that movie and then I remember and I was comparing it to the documentary, I was like, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't seem like right. It feels like there was a lot of things edited or changed. It didn't feel, but there's a lot of great moments where I feel like I lived it with them. So that was cool. A lot of the stuff with the house that they like started in, that little like house in the woods, that was amazing. Once the movie progressed from that, it went downhill, I think, in the end half of it, but where it wasn't like where I wanted it to go. But Yeah, that band's ridiculous. I wouldn't say so much sonically. It's what I was listening to get influenced. Because it sounds like the new stuff. If you like Transit, you definitely like this project. I feel like it's musically it's close enough, but lyrically, going down those deep dives of other genres opens you up to possibilities, and it makes it new again. Like you always want the songs, you always want what you do as a writer to feel like it's your first band. And if you don't feel like that when you're writing, there's a good chance that you're not creating your best content. So I always try to like watch a movie that's going to, like a David Lynch movie. If I watch a David Lynch movie and then go and write, I'm going to be writing on a level of 200 compared to if I'm watching like a Marvel movie, which I love the Marvel movies, or Star Wars. If I'm watching like a popcorn film or like Jurassic Park, and then I go and write a song, I'm not going to feel that inspiration. Like I'm going to get that from Breaking Bad because of how well it's written, and everything about that show is so flawless. So by watching the show, if I write this week or I write next week, I'm going to be on a much higher level of trying, for sure. But
absolutely, that's kind of like me with like watching a Tarantino movie. The way he writes dialogue, it's so real, and it just inspires you. You know.
What's your favorite? What are you guys' favorite Tarantino films?
Ooh, man, that is rough. I don't think there's one that I don't like, to be honest with you. I love the Kill Bill movies. I love Reservoir Dogs.
I think honestly, for me, I think it's a pretty clear cut choice. It's Pulp Fiction.
It's strong.
That's
great.
Standard. Not it. Some people are like, oh, that's just a cop up, but no, it's not.
No,
that's
that one.
Freaking
no,
amazing
it's not.
movie. It's just, to me, it's.
I
love.
I mean, I even love Jackie. Yeah, I love Jackie Brown and Glorious Bastards. They're all so good in their own way. I mean, it's even Once Upon a Time in America. I'm sorry, Hollywood. That's a long movie. The ending sequence when everything just goes crazy, and for me, what Tarantino does so well, and so does Martin Scorsese, is like they pick the right song when they're filming a scene.
Yeah.
And at the end of Hollywood, Brad Pitt's like he's just fucking up the Manson people, and there's that Vanilla Fudge cover, "You Keep Me Hanging On," it's playing in the background, and it's just like it's so powerful the way that music can translate into the scene, and I have to watch it over and over again on YouTube because it's so good.
Dude, when he lights up that cigarette, that acid dose cigarette, that was the most talent, like the best things. So I always look at his newer films like Hateful Eight, and this is there's people have complaints about them and say like they're not, Pulp Fiction, and they're not Kill Bill, or and I understand that, but if you don't like the newer movies by him, like if you don't like his newer movies as much as his old ones, at least take away the scenes that he's delivering. The scene where the lady's in the water getting just doused in that flamethrower is one of his great scenes ever filmed.
One of the best scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
The scene where he throws the dog can, like the can of dog food, and it like breaks the person's jaw. One of the best scenes he's ever done.
When he slams the girl's face into every object in the entire room.
Dude, like there's so many of his bests are in the newer movies. They're just not the whole movie. Like when you compare them to his older stuff, like I think they're amazing. My favorite Tarantino movie, my first favorite Tarantino movie, like out of like a lot of his stuff, definitely Pulp Fiction. Then it became Kill Bill. Kill Bill is the most satisfying adventure he's made for me. When you see,
I agree, but the one thing that bothers the absolute hell out of me is the fact that Bud gets the best of her and she doesn't get to kill him. Makes me so aggravated.
Oh, yeah. But dude, just that scene where she's on the airplane and she's got her sword next to the window, leaning against the window, is so beautiful. Shot. The scene, like the Hattori Hanzo scene when she's meeting him and slowly revealing that she knows who he is. Unbelievable. But my favorite movie, like long story short, my favorite movie by him is Inglourious Bastards. I think his most effort out of all of his movies went into that movie. I think that's his life's work. I think that he'll have, if he has one or two more movies, I think they'll be great like this one, but I don't think the amount of effort he put into anything he puts out from now on is going to be the amount of effort he put into Inglorious Bastards, especially that
I
opening
agree.
scene with the milk
The opening
in the
scene,
farm.
man.
That's
I
the best
actually-
thing he's ever recorded, period.
Maybe the best opening scene I've ever seen in a film.
Ever. Dude. The Star Wars movie, what is it? Rogue One. So I just watched this thing online, Rogue One, where where they come down and they're taking the engineer to work on the Death Star. That whole scene was completely influenced and not copy and pasted, but that whole scene was based around that scene, that first scene from Inglorious Bastards, where he shows up at the farm. It's taken from
Wow,
that.
no
This is
kidding.
Star Wars.
No kidding.
Yeah. Found that out
No
yesterday.
way.
I was like, that's
Yeah,
so sick.
I watched like a breakdown of that open. Someone was like some film critic dude was like analyzing that open scene, and he's just talking about how the scene very meticulously, gradually builds tension through the whole.
Yeah.
Goes a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Then the reveal. That moment where he knows that he's hiding the people under the floorboard.
Yeah.
You could see in his face turn. It's just like, oh, it's like, ooh, it makes your hair.
I love the way Christoph Waltz as an actor, he does this weird thing where like he's saying what he wants to say to you, and then he goes into like parentheses, and then he comes back to what he's saying. So he's like, well, well, anyway, da, 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 da. And then he comes back to what he's saying, and he has this weird way of doing that. But he's such a tremendous actor, and I wish he I even liked him in that, was it Spectre, James Bond movie, like the last one. It was okay, but he made it like good for me.
Yeah.
Such a good actor.
Did you guys like The Lighthouse?
So that's a movie that's literally right now on the top of my list to see. I missed it.
I don't
missed out
think
in the
I've seen that either. I don't think I've seen that.
Willem Dafoe, right, and Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
Oh,
I watched
I gotta see it.
2 days in a row. We got it on Blu-ray on like Redbox or whatever, and I watched it by myself. And then I had Carl, Sarah come over, and Amanda, and me and Carl ended up watching it. Sarah and Amanda kind of tuned out, but I watched it again, and I go, I can't wait to watch it a third time. I love it. And everyone that I've been talking to about it, a lot of my friends that are really invested in music or art or anything, half of them hate it. They hate it so much. And I'm always interested to know what people think, like other friends of music or art or anything. Like, what do you think about it? Like, it's definitely not for everybody. I loved it. They used
it's an A24 movie, right?
Dude, it's so good.
Oh,
it's a what if.
Whoa.
Well, because they A20, I think it's A24. I think that's what the production company's called. But I've seen The Witch, which I loved, and because I love slow burns.
Yeah.
And I loved what was the other one that came out?
The Witch.
Not The Witch. It was the other one.
Now, isn't that guy from Massachusetts too? The guy
I think
that
he is,
did The
yeah.
Witch. Yeah, I think it's
Hereditary.
second. Yeah.
You saw The Witch, right, Joe?
Yeah, I loved it. I actually saw it in Salem, the Salem Theater with Amanda.
I mean, how did you feel after seeing the movie?
I loved every
I felt
part of the movie except for the ending. The very end, I was just like, I didn't really. The ending, the big payoff at the end didn't do anything for me, but the scenes with like the goat and like the family and like the close shots of the family and everything they're going through was insane. Like,
it was
Yeah.
psychological thriller to the nth
Well,
degree.
that's because it's such a slow burn. It's kind of like the movie Hereditary. The same production company made that, and the whole movie you're like, what's gonna happen? Because the camera work keeps making you think there's gonna be a stupid like jump scare, which is so cheap in those types of movies. But Hereditary didn't do that. There was no jump scares. The whole movie you're like, have you seen that one, Joe?
Yes, I like Hereditary. This is the problem. Okay, is I watched Rosemary's Baby for like the 6th time, because that's one of my favorite horror movies, 2 days before I watched Hereditary. Don't do that. Rosemary's Baby is in my opinion, like any kind of cult movie, like horror cult movie of any kind like that. I think that Rosemary's Baby is one of the greatest of all time. And if you watch a movie that's influenced by that movie or kind of, definitely needs that movie to exist, for it to exist, it hurts that movie that you're watching, that newer movie.
Right.
But I did that, and I shouldn't have. If I went into Hereditary and just watched the normal horror movies, or was watching binging on like a different genre, that movie would have hit me 10 times harder.
Yeah, I get that. The
So-
scene that gets me to this day, it's the scene where the kid's sister's in the back seat and she's choking because she's allergic, and she gets decapitated when she puts her head out the window, and he knows it happened. He doesn't turn around. He drives home, and he just sits in the car for a second, and the camera just shows his face. He gets up, goes into the house, gets in bed, puts the covers over him, and the camera just stares at his face the whole time until the morning when his mother discovers what happened.
Yeah.
And her horrific screams and the camera work on his face is like just genius. It was so scary. I've never seen anything like that in a movie before.
That was the best part of the entire movie. Easily.
Yeah.
Like, that was that first scene from Glorious Bastards where you're just like, this is the best part of the movie, and I know it.
Yeah.
That part you cannot even like. I didn't love Hereditary. I didn't love how it ended. I didn't like the end. The movie, for me, a movie is everything about a movie is the end. The end is the whole movie. It's everything that a movie builds up to be is the payoff at the end, which is what Tarantino movies do so well. Especially Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That whole movie was just to build to that end. That end.
Yep.
I actually I haven't even seen that movie yet.
The ending to that movie is so. My heart was racing, and the smile I had was up to my ears the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Hereditary didn't do that. It had the greatest scene in the middle, or wherever that scene was. If it was in the I don't think it was in the. It was definitely in the middle. I feel
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
I've only seen it once. For me, I have to watch a movie a few times to fully get a grasp on it. But the ending didn't do it for me. It fell short.
Have you seen Suspiria?
No.
That's a 70s movie. It's about witches and like a ballet school. Very creepy movie. They just did a remake of it, and it was I can't even explain it. I don't even know what I was sitting through for 2.5 hours, but it's just out of control. If you ever just want, like you said, popcorn movies, like it's just like Suspiria. Check out the original, which is really good, and the remake is just what the fuck.
For me, that just reminds me of Black Swan. I've seen that movie like 4 times.
Yeah, very, very similar.
So it's so crazy with horror movies. They're either perfect or they're so bad. So I guess, no, it's like any genre. It's got to be so hard to do like comedy. I feel like the hardest genre to make movie-wise has to be comedy for the editing and the timing. Yeah. But horror movies can be so cheesy so fast.
That's why it's so difficult to find like that really good horror movie that really hits all the checks all the boxes. You know.
What are your like top 3s?
Horror movies?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Good or
The
bad.
Exorcist for me is my number one.
It can be bad good. Like it could be cheesy good.
Oh, okay. How about Planet Terror?
Planet Terror was crazy. I'm very squeamish.
Is that even qualify as a horror movie? Probably not. It's more of a sci-fi, ridiculous. I don't know.
Was that Rodriguez or Tarantino?
That's Rodriguez. Tarantino was Death Proof.
Death Proof.
Death Proof was really messed up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't like that. They don't give that one a lot of credit. I love the dialogue in that movie. It's crazy. The action scenes are crazy.
Oh yeah.
Is that the girl with the machine gun leg? Is that one?
No, that's Planet Terror, I think.
Oh, Planet Terror. Okay.
Leg. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But they came out as a double feature.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Grindhouse.
I lost a lot of money on that. I think that one
really
did not do well. People didn't want it. They didn't want to be in the movies that long. They'll sneak into a movie if they want to see 2 movies. But the average viewer at the movie theater is not going to watch 2 movies back to back, which is crazy.
These days might be different. You know, the culture has changed. You know, everyone's all.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think if they did that now, they released that double feature now, I think it would do actually pretty well.
Well, way better.
I would say when I first met my wife, we met in 2008. A couple of years after that, we were just I think dating at the time, and I went over to her parents' house, and her mother's like, "You want to watch The Exorcist?" And Gia's seen it a million times, and her mom said, "I never seen it before." So I was sitting there. It was a really awkward, odd autumn night. The leaves were rustling outside. I watched that movie, and that scene where in the beginning where the priest is in the church and the statue of the angel has the horns coming out of her breasts. It just disturbed the fuck out of me. That Yep. I would say the original It with Tim Curry still fucks me up to this day.
Yep.
But I watch it for some reason. It became our anniversary movies, our wedding anniversary. Every year on our anniversary, we watch It. Don't know why.
That's how
I
it
guess
works,
we're both kind
though.
of strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like the new It movies that much. I thought the second one was a disaster.
Oh wow. I thought the first one was way better than the second. I think that I just needed it. You know what I mean? Like I needed to get a movie like because I watched the Tim Curry ones and Tim Curry's unbelievable in those. But it's so long and it's like a TV series, like a short mini series, and there's so much bad in that too.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
Drags, and you can fall asleep in the middle of it. But I think we needed these. I think it's just an addition. Like I don't think any of them are perfect. I mean, it's a horror movie about a clown, like a science fiction space clown spider thing.
I think for me, I think it was the
that.
CGI. The CGI, I think, ruined the movies for me. I liked, even though the stuff in the original, it was cheesy as hell. Tim Curry doesn't need CGI. His face is scary anyway. His teeth and his eyes. I thought the new actor did fine. I just thought that like they opened his mouth. The way they opened it up, I could just see so much computer stuff, and I was like, make it more natural. But I'm gonna give the second one another shot because my wife and I walked out of that theater and we were just so angry at that movie because like I just thought it was a mess all the way through, and I think it's because I like the story so much. I'm actually reading the book right now, so I'm having fun with that.
The book's the best way to take in that story so far.
Yeah.
Even better than the Tim Curry, miniseries and the movie. I still think, and I honestly think it's the audiobook. I love audiobooks though, but if you listen to the It audiobook, it's just perfect. Like he goes off on tangents a lot like Tolkien does, where you're just like, you're listening, but you're reading and he's just talking about some random stuff and you're just like, kind of, where are you going? And he comes back to the actual narrative. That's the only negative part of the book, but I think if you just get a little bit of all of it, you get the full story, you get the most out of it.
In the Two Towers, I think there's a chapter called Flotsam and Jetsam, and Tolkien just describes the landscape for 17 pages. And I've never been so bored in my life, and I love Tolkien.
No, I think it's the Rohirrim, like the anything down in Gondor or like anything with the armies really bore me with. And I love Tolkien. I've been listening to the audiobooks, the Tolkien audiobooks, The Hobbit and the Silmarillion and Children of Hurin and all that stuff. I've been listening to that for like 5-6 years, a lot. And the best chapters, in my opinion, are the Knife in the Dark, the Prancing Pony, all of the early stuff. I think that the first book, the first book of the Lord of the Rings, like I know it's one book, but like the first one, the Fellowship of the Ring, is easily the best part of that whole thing.
I agree.
For me. And the Tom Bombadil chapter is unbelievable at night. If you listen to that, read that at night, it's perfect. I think the Hobbit book is not nearly as good as the Lord of the Rings, except for when you get to Smaug in the Lonely Mountain. Once you get to those scenes, it's incredible. Some of the Mirkwood scenes are amazing on both. Barrow Downs, those scenes are amazing. If you listen, dude, I got my wisdom teeth taken out and I was listening to Children of Hurin, the audiobook, and I had to stop because it was just making me depressed. It was so metal and so heavy and down. That whole book is so down and just defeating.
I've never loved a specific line from a book like I do in The Hobbit. My favorite line in that entire book is when he just says, it's one sentence. He just says, Bomber was tired of being fat and last. And it was my favorite line in the entire novel.
Oh, I don't know what my favorite one would be. That's tough, man.
What do you think of the movies? I mean, they made 3 movies out of that book.
I knew it at the time that was a waste.
I look it up as much as I possibly can because I'm so interested in that whole like story and his story. and all
Yeah,
that
and the
stuff. But
Balrogs and all that stuff and all the dragons, and there's just so much to it, and you wouldn't have Game of Thrones without that easily. There's no way.
yep,
You wouldn't have Dungeons and Dragons without that. You wouldn't have RPGs from Nintendo up to PlayStation to everything now. None of that would exist. Magic cards, none of it. You need
right.
Beowulf to start. You need Beowulf to start, which Tolkien made famous in the Western world. He's the one that like wrote the essay that blew up Beowulf for American literature.
Hmm.
So you need Tolkien for both Beowulf and Lord of the Rings to make everything else that we like. So if you like anything fantasy, you need Tolkien. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
yeah,
man. I was
but
gonna say, Joe, what do you think of in the future? Because we're gonna keep doing this. This is like gonna be like our 15th episode.
yeah,
I wanna bring you back just for a Beatles episode.
yeah, done. You will school me though. You will school me in it. I know the songs that I love the songs that I love. I don't know how things were recorded. I don't know all the facts. I know why certain songs are named certain things or where they got names for certain lyrics, but I am not like I could talk to you all day about Lord of the Rings or about certain video game franchises or certain bands and stuff. But with the Beatles, it always just became how the songs make me feel, and I've never really dug too deep into them. I can tell you my favorite Beatles song is it's tough actually. I love Eleanor Rigby.
Mm-hmm.
I love the really dark songs. I love with the characters and the moving parts and pieces,
Hmm.
and I love that aspect of the Beatles the most. My first favorite album from them was Sgt. Pepper. I had it on cassette. That was a huge
Wow.
inspiration for me. That was my first cassette tape. I had The Simpsons, like the cartoon, Sing the Blues, and Sgt. Pepper, Lonely Hearts Club Band, and those are the first two records, like cassette tapes, I've ever owned.
No way. I think my
That's
first
amazing.
CD was Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine. That's like the
Dude, that's
CD,
great.
first CD I ever bought. I was like, yeah, baby.
That's
I
my
think the
first
first
project.
What's that?
the first CD I ever purchased was Astro Lounge by Smash Mouth. Not proud of
Yeah.
it.
Smash Mouth.
I don't know my first
Dude.
purchase CD. First purchase CD was it was definitely what was it? Was it like Abbey Road or something? I think it was.
That's amazing.
I know my first burnt CD was Rage Against the Machine. Was it People of the Sun or was it the album that had that song in it? I can't remember the name of it. I bought it off Peter and Ganis for $5 in seventh grade.
Peter and Ganis, yes.
Yeah, I bought it off him for $5. He was burning CDs and selling them in middle school, and it was a Rage Against the Machine CD. And then my first cassette tape. What?
Do you remember Strawberries in Route 1?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I remember walking in there and purchasing Sgt. Pepper on CD, and I thought I was the coolest person on the planet.
You were.
But if I went into school and told people, I was like, yeah, I've got a Beatles album, they'd be like, who? What? Are you an idiot? Like, who listens to the Beatles?
Everyone was
I'm
listening
like,
to Korn.
me and Joe Boynton.
No, I wasn't. I was listening to both. I was listening to I'm very thankful that my dad showed me Black Sabbath and the Beatles and the Who, and like those bands. Like he showed me them, and I loved them, and I was infatuated with those bands. And then middle school came, or like later elementary school, when you had friends that were just obsessed with wrestling, which is great.
That was me. That was me. Yeah.
Obsessed with wrestling, obsessed with South Park, and obsessed with like new metal and
Pokemon.
like
Pokemon was a bit. I remember it was like WWF and Pokemon. Like, what do you like more, Pokemon or WWF? That was like the big thing.
Yeah, and so you would want to have friends, so you would listen. I literally was like, you know what? I like the Beatles, but I like, life, like, I don't even remember the Korn album names. Was it Follow the Leader or whatever? I was like, well, I like this too. And if you really listen to it, even at that age, you don't really like that. You didn't really like it. There's no way.
It's edgy music.
There's no way.
Oh, there's the bass, especially you, dude. The bass, oh my God, it's not good.
Wait. Are you saying those bass lines in Korn were not good?
No,
because I disagree completely. I
really,
dude. Like if you listen to the bass lines in some of the more popular Korn songs back in the day, these slap bass to fucking metal or whatever style they are. It was like
new metal, yeah.
New metal, yeah. But I really love those bass lines because as a bass, I can really appreciate that style he's doing because he's slapping, and usually that's reserved for like more funky stuff, but he made it work.
Yeah.
In a heavy setting. He what?
But the way it was recorded, do you like the way it was recorded?
What? So it's terms of fidelity in the.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I have to go back and critique
You
it.
got to go back and listen to it for that. Then
It's not Steely Dan quality. I'm sure.
no. That's what I'm getting at.
Steely Dan. Steely Dan.
That.
Steely Dan has 18 engineers on one album, so that's a whole different ballgame.
That's insane.
They go through multiples of guitar soloists. They'll like if you haven't seen it, watch the documentary they did on Asia, Steely Dan album Asia. They
Oh my god!
behind the scenes, and they're like
best documentary ever.
And they're talking about how they brought in like 20 guitarists to do this one solo. It's like a 30-second solo. And they're like, they showed some of the other ones and they played it. I'm like, and after they're done playing, I'm like, you can see why that didn't make the cut. I'm like, what are you talking about? That was actually really good.
Yeah, they're such snobs. Yeah.
That's sick though. That's crazy.
They're nuts. Yeah. They're completely insane with the but it comes through when you listen to Asia with a really good set of headphones or studio monitors. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
it's
I gotta do that. It's the crispiest sounding record of all time in my opinion.
What are your favorite headphones? The best headphones I've ever listened to for me has been Sennheisers.
Okay, so yeah, man, these right now are what are these? These are AKGs. I bought like 6 of them. Because when we were recording at our buddy John's house for the record, we just went to Guitar Center and we just bought a bunch of stuff, and these were on sale. But I do have a pair of Sennheisers. I listen to just from on my phone for music, and I do like Sennheisers. I paid like $20 for these things back a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
they were like killer quality for $20. But I don't. I've never really purchased a super high-end pair of headphones. I have like studio monitors and kind of a small setup here at my place, but. I've
never purchased any like that, but I remember being like in the studio and different like gearheads coming through and always asking them like, what do you have? What are you listening to? Can I try those on? And then I remember hearing Sennheisers and being like, what? It felt like IMAX on my head. I was like, what is this?
Dude.
Me and PJ were just listening to the Beatles. We listened to the Beatles, Beach Boys, and who else? I think it was Fleetwood Mac and those, and we were just like, "Oh my god!"
From what I can remember, when I tested out high-end headphones, I still like Bose. Like Bose, their sound isolation that they do. It's I remember back when I used to put them on, they sounded sick. And they actually have a new pair. I think it's the Bose something 700s now. Like I think they're like $300. I might consider
it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's really worth it for everyone that loves music and listens to it like on their MacBook speakers or their phone or just on their TV. Like it really is worth a few $100, like $300. Like invest in it. Like just
so many people.
Nothing like it.
So many people are missing like 60% of the record because it's like they'll listen, like you said, they'll listen to it on the computer on their phone, which is you're not getting the whole picture at all. You're not getting those deep bass tones. You're not getting the richness of what they spent months to produce in the studio. And everybody who's serious about music or even just a fan of listening to music needs to invest in a really good set of headphones because you're missing out. That's the bottom line.
You really are. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like there's so many like people have like a $500 TV or $1,000 TV or like any kind of appliance. But if you love music, which there's so many people in my life, most of the people in my life, not everyone, but most of the people in my life are obsessed with music or a certain genre or certain bands for one way or the other. But maybe 2 out of 50 people or 1 out of 20 people I know actually have that like nice set of headphones that's like a few $100. Like that's it. And it's like that's the whole thing though. You play your favorite record and it's brand new to you. Like that's the best it's ever going to sound. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially with, cause we're into vinyl and I collect vinyl, listen to vinyl. And I've been kind of, it's like some people say, oh, it's like vinyl sounds better, this and that. And it's tough to say whether or not, cause like there's multiple I don't know if do you ever get into vinyl records at all?
Yeah. I don't have a ton. I have like a pretty small collection, but, I go on like a trip with friends in January and we all just bring our vinyl or we'll buy a few and we'll all bring vinyl.
Nice.
and we'll just listen to it on a really good set of speakers and just go through, all different time periods of music, like is old, nothing past the 70s, but nothing further back. But I really have, like, because of those trips, like, definitely appreciate it so much. It's similar to having like a hobby, like a video game hobby. Like, I don't have a ton of systems. I just have what I have, because it gets really expensive. So that's
It
the only
does,
thing.
yeah. And I
That's
spend
the only
probably
thing.
more than I should. But I was watching
Yeah.
this guy. He has this like show on YouTube, and he's like the vinyl guy, and
Yeah.
he talks about sound fidelity. Is it better than CD quality? And the answer is it's kind of not. And there's a lot of factors for that. It's like you can have, as long as you have a really good sound setup, really good
Yeah.
headphones, it's kind of difficult to discern the difference between record or a CD if you want to really look at it objectively.
Yeah.
So what the difference is, and I actually just learned this, if you don't master specifically for the vinyl record, and say if you mastered it for like digital release on Spotify, and then you don't remaster it for vinyl, that's a problem, because like the vinyl enables the producer or mastering engineer to mix it in a different way than digital, is from what I understand, because it has a lower floor. Something's different with the frequencies. Vinyl, I guess it affords you a different way, like gives you more room in certain frequency bands or something like that. I'm not 100% up to snuff about it, but I did watch this thing about it. It was pretty interesting. And
I wish I got deep dive into music where I could understand the frequencies of things. I don't. Like, I
don't either.
I feel like that's where it really gets in this engineering level of, like, the same reason, like when I talk to people that are obsessed with cars and they know how, like, an engine works and all the components, like, I feel like I never got myself to fully grasp that. But I think overall, when I listen to a record like a Fleetwood Mac record in headphones, like good headphones, and I just know, like, you just know deep down, this is, like, or especially the Beach Boys, you're just like, there's no way anything's going to sound better than this is right now.
Right.
Like,
as long as you have a good system to listen to it on, I think you're going to win. And with the debate of whether vinyl sounds better than digital, I think it's not a matter of whether one sounds better than the other. It's if you have a record specifically mastered for the vinyl medium, and then you compare it to the digital counterpart, it's not better or worse. It's just a different experience. It's going to sound different. And
so it's like
that's what it comes down to.
So it's like, if the game was made for this system, it's going to play better than if you get, if you play like for instance, like we play, Wii U or whatever, and we'll play like a 3DS game on Wii U, and it's good, but it doesn't feel right. It feels awkward, or like a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
So the system that it's built on, so if the record's made for vinyl, if it was recorded for vinyl, of course that's its home. It's going to sound better there. But if it's built for CD, it's going to sound better there as well.
Yeah. And people will say, "Oh, I don't like the sound of CD. It's too digital, and I can the space in between the." No, you can't. You can't hear it. It's possible for the human ear to discern between digital and analog if you're being super objective about it.
I will say though, filters in movies that are trying to look old versus old movies is not even close. Old movies, the graininess. Or like, especially like, I love going back to Rosemary's Baby, like that movie, the film, like the way that movie was filmed, like the way it looks, or The Shining, the way it looks, like the way it was filmed itself. I don't know how all that works, but like,
The Shining,
level.
The Shining especially, man. It's like the way Stanley Kubrick filmed that. When you guys talking about horror movies earlier, I think I was thinking about The Shining would probably be definitely my top 3.
That's my my one.
Wow. Because when I watched that as like a kid, and it was like that. It was so eerie in the way Stanley Kubrick is an amazing director to begin with.
He's insane. He's an actual crazy person.
He's an actual crazy person. And they say there's a fine line between genius and crazy, and he's probably right on that edge.
He's right on that edge.
And he watched like the making of The Shining, and like he would like that scene where Jack Nicholson, he's like pounding on the door when he's locked into the fridge, this food storage. Stanley Kubrick was right, like laying down on his back, filming up. It was like, and just the way, oh man, this the hallway scenes and like that door that don't go in room whatever.
Yeah.
The door was slightly open. That freaked me out, man, as a kid.
Yeah, that's some
I
scary
watch that
shit.
movie. I watch it once a year. That's my like once a year movie.
Oh, what occasion?
It's not always on the same date. I would say in the winter time, we definitely watch it in the winter.
Oh, that's the best time. That's the best
yeah.
time to watch it.
I would say I think that movie is so well done because I think he really built it. He built that he built that movie that not even he fully understands why there's certain cereal boxes or certain, like there's so many details in the background
dude.
and color combinations and codes. I really think he built it for people to obsess about and freak out about and try to analyze, but I don't think there's a real answer to what he did. I think he made it obscure on purpose for people to freak out about because it just feels like a puzzle that's not supposed to be solved. And I think it's like a sick joke in himself.
Well, it's crazy you say that, Joe. I know where on I think it's on Netflix. There's actually a movie called I forget what it's called. Room 237.
Yeah, I've seen some of it. I've fallen asleep like in the halfway point of that, documentary twice.
Here's the funny part. There's one documentary for one theory. It's like one is like they tie in the moon landing, like Danny's shirt has a rocket on it. There's all these clues they give. It's pretty interesting. But there's one theory, but then there's another documentary. It talks about something completely different. It's about it's supposed to symbolize the massacre of Native Americans in early history. Like you can draw these conclusions because there's so, like you said, there's so many breadcrumbs Stanley leaves us to kind of come up with our own conclusion. It's like with these, these like theories on what films the background is. It's all fun, but you could like draw a bunch of conclusions on the same thing if you really.
I think that's what he did on purpose. I think
probably.
He did it
and if that's the case,
purpose.
If that's the case, he was like, I don't know if he was way ahead of his time or what, but that's like a next level insanity when you're filming a movie. Like you just in the back of your head, you just like.
You guys want a fucked up day? I'm sorry to interrupt. I just thought of this real quick. You want a fucked up day? I once watched A Clockwork Orange and Requiem for a Dream in the same day. That fucked me up.
Why did you do that to yourself?
Dude, I watched Requiem for a Dream.
I love torturing myself.
I watched, dude, just watching Requiem for a Dream fucked me up for days. Just that one movie. I'm like, never again. Never. I'm not what.
I think A Clockwork Orange was Kubrick.
Oh, was it?
I don't know. For Kubrick, I know. I really only know The Shining. I know he's done a bunch of other movies, and I know they're worth seeing. But for me, it's always been.
He shot Eyes Wide Shut with.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Yeah,
I didn't see it either. I heard it was very strange. He was talking about
somebody lent me that DVD 4 years ago, and I still have it, and I feel bad I've never seen it.
The best for me, I always go back to like the top three: Shining, Silence of the Lambs, and then Rosemary's Baby are my top three.
Okay,
easily.
So we could literally go on a tangent for 45 minutes on just Silence of the Lambs. It's that might be my favorite horror movie of all time. If it's
I don't like the other movies as much though. The other movies around it. So I really like I like Manhunter, but I don't think it's a great movie. I think that there's a lot of great stuff out of the Manhunter series. There's two lyrics I got from that book that are in the project I'm doing now, that I just really like how deep that, like, I don't know. I feel like Manhunter was an attempt at being what Silence of the Lambs was. And I think Silence of the Lambs, like as a movie, at least, was like a second try of making this great thing about Hannibal Lecter. And that movie has like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of, I could fall asleep right now. Like there's like one montage, like in the middle point, that's kind of gets a little sleepy, but that's it. Like everything else about that movie is straight up perfect. Yeah,
I liked Red Dragon a lot. I didn't really care for Hannibal, but I thought Red Dragon was at least better than Hannibal for the most part. But have you seen the TV show Hannibal that was on for a little bit?
I'll tell you, I was obsessed. And then I found out that the show was like too expensive to keep going. Like they couldn't hit their budget. And then the last season, I think it was the third season, you could tell they didn't have the same budget. And then the show just ended. And I thought that the season 1 and season 2 of that show were absolutely perfect. And I didn't
The
think
most beautiful deaths I've ever seen.
the most beautiful CG, the most beautiful effects I've ever seen in a TV show. The fact that show didn't keep going, people wanted that show to keep going. It made like they really just couldn't keep that show going because of the cost of the production. I feel
right
from what I understand, but that show was perfect.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. That was an
Have you
amazing
seen
show.
True Detective season 1?
Season 1 and 2. Yeah, I haven't seen
have.
3.
I didn't like season 2. I didn't like season 2. Season 1 was
I don't think anybody did. I think even the writers were like, we don't even know what we're doing at this point.
Season 1 of True Detective is one of my favorite seasons of all television. It's what I loved about the X-Files, but it was done so well, and the fact that they use high fantasy, like when one of the detectives, Matthew McConaughey, when he's like tripping or when he's like all fucked up or whatever, they start messing with the background of like the sky and making it look like high fantasy in a crime drama, like in a thriller. And I've never even seen that. And the fact they do that and it's done tastefully and it keeps the right tone. And you're just like, how did you do this? How did you actually get this to be cool? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. I love season 1. I will say though, I was a little bit let down by the ending.
The ending sucks.
I was let down by it, but I still think, like you said, like endings can make or break a show. But I still love that show. Regardless,
it's different for TV series because you get your conclusion at the end of certain episodes, where you don't get that in a movie. The end of the movie is the end of the movie.
For interpretation. Joe, I noticed you you mentioned the X-Files. You talking about the original series?
Yes, I did like a few of the newer episodes. I didn't like that they were kind of like prepping you for like these younger agents that were going to take over and continue. I just didn't buy it.
I barely dabbled in the new episodes because to me it's like, how can you expand any further upon?
There was one or two.
Oh, you got to be kidding me!
That's one of my favorite episodes. Is the one with Toombs, the guy that like pushes his body through like grates, like air vents and stuff. Like, dude.
Hey Joe, sorry, I think I got froze there for the last like 60 seconds. Sorry, I missed it. But you mentioned Toombs.
That episode's great. I love when they create something where you're like, wow, this could be a whole series in itself, or this could be a whole book of like, what's this character that came? How did you come up with this? Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't know if are you into this series called Project Blue Book? It's like a new one.
I don't know.
It's a newer. It's basically it's actually a character from character who played Littlefinger in the Game of Thrones. He's the lead detective.
He's one of the best actors in that show.
Oh yeah. It's called Project Blue Book. But if you watch it, it's like it's like better film quality. That's much more HD than the original X-Files series. Everything's top notch. But if you compare the acting to this new show Project Blue Book to like 1993 X-Files, the X-Files from 1993 wins because like they didn't have this cool shit with all this new technology. You had to be a good actor. Like, I feel like the acting in the X-Files series is really underrated. There's a lot of good episodes where it's like super dramatic moments where like it's very authentic, and it's like they did a super good job. It's mid 90s doing this. It's like, I don't know. I
think the music in the X-Files and the tone. I think that if they did anything right, it was the tone, and I feel like True Detective season 1 has it too. Breaking Bad, from rewatching this my second time watching Breaking Bad, I think it's honestly a perfect show. Like, I don't think they've done I didn't love some parts of the ending of Breaking Bad, but I feel like that's the closest to a perfect TV show like of all time. I thought that about The Sopranos, but there's some sleepers. But when Sopranos is great, it's literally 10 out of 10.
Oh my God, Sopranos, fantastic TV show.
But there's
and Breaking Bad is like a fine wine. Every season's better than the last. And when season 4 ended, I was like, how are they going to top this?
Dude, you know what Breaking Bad feels like? It feels like a game with bosses, like a video game where you have like, here's the bad guy now, and then they just slowly amp up every bad guy is
Yep.
more horrific, more like scarier, more intense. There's more to lose. I feel like it just builds and builds. And Jesse Pinkman gets really smart in the first season. From when you first meet him, he doesn't know what's going on, and then all the close encounters to death make him like his brain. You literally watch it over the span of like 2 episodes. He actually like he turns on. He's like fully engaged with what's going on in the situation, and it happens kind of fast. I wish it kind of happened a little slower, but the family dynamic on the show is perfect. The DEA agent, like the brother-in-law, you love him so much. His character is so
Hank.
convoluted.
Yeah.
He's so convoluted. He's such a good guy, and then when he's working as a police officer, he's such a shithead.
Yeah, he's a shithead.
Yeah. He takes a picture of the dead guy. He's like, "Hey, get a selfie."
So many dead guy pictures, and you're like, "What's
Fucking
wrong
asshole.
with you?" Yeah.
I'm sure you.
I hated the sequel to Breaking Bad. I hated that continuation of Jesse. I wish I had never even seen it.
I'm going to go into Breaking. I'm going to get into Better Call Saul. I didn't give it a chance. I know it's supposed to be great.
Really good show.
Really good show. Really good show.
Yeah.
I just didn't like. Did you see the continuation thing they made with Jesse?
I watched half of it, and I didn't finish it.
Yeah,
but,
it was almost unneeded.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of strange, but yeah, Better Call Saul is really. It's a fun show. It's very.
Are you
fun.
excited for the Sopranos prequel or whatever they're doing to that?
I've been looking it up every single day to see updates because I'm a little schoolboy, like a little fanboy when it comes to this movie. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it's his son playing him, right?
Yeah, it's like, when does that ever happen? And
it did in Princess Leia in the last Star Wars movie. Her daughter plays scenes that they needed. They needed Carrie Fisher for when they show Princess Leia training to be a Jedi. They literally superimposed Carrie Fisher's face over her daughter's face, and that's her daughter playing her. That's the only other time I've heard of it. That blew my mind. I was like, "Oh!" Wow. And it doesn't look like her enough. I didn't think it looked like her enough when they show her, like Leia and Luke training. I think it was on Dagobah when they're training. I didn't think it looked enough like Leia, unfortunately. I feel like they really nail it when they're making, like, they're recreating actors or actresses' faces, because that's so difficult to do. Like, I can't even imagine, dude.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't think anything of us have done creatively has been more difficult than trying to do graphic art or like CGI in a Hollywood film. That's got to be the absolute most ridiculously intense and difficult form of art I can think of because of how high the filters are on viewers. Like,
plus the innovative part, like I'd say the first Matrix is probably the most innovative in terms of special effects have gone.
Until the end, when they're in the subway, those effects get real bad. But that whole movie is perfect.
What do you mean? Those are good. What part?
Oh, go back. When they get to the subway at the end of that movie,
yeah,
you can tell the budget just it just disappears.
I don't remember that. I thought it was.
Oh, go back. I thought so too. I was like, I remember. I was like. I went back before we turned it on. I've seen The Matrix like, I don't know, 6-7 times, probably seven times. And it's one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite, sci-fi movies.
Oh, it's fantastic.
One of my favorite action movies of all time.
So you're saying the subway scene is cheeseball?
Dude, there's one scene where you can't believe it. Like there's like bricks or something. Like he punches through something and like the debris comes flying at the screen and it's just so bad. It's so bad.
I'll have to watch that. That's crazy.
Yeah. You got a project tonight, Steve.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna dig out this bad part of the Matrix.
I don't think it's good. I don't. And the 2 and 3, I'm really glad they're trying to like reboot and like continue on or make a 4th one. I think it needs another good one. I didn't like 2. I didn't like 3. I love all the Matrix.
I've never really been a fan of 2 or 3 either. It's just
I like 2. I like 2 only because I was introduced to the movie theater / restaurant Chunky's in New Hampshire. And I was sitting there watching Matrix Reloaded, and I was eating like a cheeseburger at a table watching Matrix Reloaded. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
so
it's a
I was
great
happy
time.
the whole night.
Dude, I remember seeing Black Hawk Down at Chunky's or whatever the place is called. With
Chunky Cinema, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good action movie. Black Hawk Down's a fun, like, popcorn movie. You know.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke, dude. Ethan Hawke's the man.
Did you see 1917? Did you see that?
I haven't yet. On my list.
I watched it with Maddie, my friend Maddie, and
dude, it's like it's not one continuous shot, but they make it look like it's one continuous shot the entire movie. It's definitely got the Frodo and Sam aspect of like two friends going, like two people going through and needing to be there for each other on this impossible adventure, like not adventure but impossible mission. It's unbelievable.
I gotta see it. I'm excited
Yeah,
about that one.
definitely check it
It's
out.
been a great 2 years for film, for sure, TV and cinema. I feel like we've definitely had a few years that were kind of bad, kind of stale for movies and shows, but I feel like we're definitely back in this sweet spot of great
Because they
films.
really got to compete. It's like, you know, they have to compete with like Netflix and all this. Like they have all these new streaming
Well,
platforms.
Disney Plus came out and Netflix got a whole second wind. Like we got to crush it, and they did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what's.
Everyone was shitting on Netflix. Like, okay, it's now you got to compete with Disney. They're ripping down. They're taking away all their Disney content from Netflix, from Amazon. Like now, like, well, I think that Netflix losing a lot of Disney like Disney TV and Disney movies. People were like, "Wow, like you guys are screwed." Like that's at least my coworkers. My coworkers were all like, "Yeah," like they're all kind of talking like, "Man, poor Netflix." Like they're gonna have a tough run, and Netflix is like, "Fuck that." Still the top easily.
Like, what? Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah,
they always underestimate Netflix.
They always do.
I think Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix for like nothing back in the day. They walked in the office and they blasted them out of the office. Like, get the fuck out of here. Streaming.
Crazy. What about Netflix not giving you a DVD? My friend, you guys probably know Mike Wilson. I remember his family getting Netflix when Netflix was all DVDs. And I remember around that time, you couldn't keep ordering DVDs because they would cut you off because they want you to like go outside or do something else. Like they don't want you to binge. Netflix didn't want you to binge.
Really?
When they started, they weren't about that. Like they would be a limit or something to like ordering these DVDs
because of public health concerns. Is that it?
Or just their way of doing it. They're like they would cut you off.
At this point, I'm surprised Netflix isn't teaming up with Domino's and like, please stay home and get fat and just binge forever.
Yeah, they took a 180 on that philosophy for sure. Now it's just like, I don't get like why they release seasons all at once, because you know people are gonna watch it in 3 days, and then it's like
yeah.
I don't understand.
It's good and bad.
I really don't.
I like the weekly by weekly, like waiting for an episode is fun because you get to watch it 3-4 times and you just keep watching it. But
I really don't understand how Netflix, their business model and how they're profitable, because there's that, and then they're like,
I can tell you
on my Netflix, they're like, here, share this. Not only do they know people are sharing their Netflix accounts, they're on the front screen. They're like, yeah, make sure you give people this link and have your friends and family watch it for free. They're like telling you to do it.
I think Netflix makes money based on the clothes that the people wear in the shows, the cars they're driving. I think that there's more advertisement going on in media where it's subliminal and it affects the way people buy. And I think that's where a lot of the money is made. And I'm not trying to sound like I can see it. Like when I watched Endgame, when they're going up to it was Endgame, wasn't Infinity War, it was Endgame. They were going up to Tony Stark's home and they pull up to his house in an Audi and they park the car like they do in the fucking commercials. They pull up and I go,
no way.
Ruined it. I love that movie. I love Marvel. I love those movies so much. But that scene, I watched them pull the car right into the driveway, like perfectly parked at the perfect right angle so you can see the car perfectly. Like, don't you want to buy this? And I'm like, motherfucker. I was like, damn it.
You might be onto something. It's like the next wave of advertisements is like advertising people without them even knowing it. That's like the best.
Rosemary's Baby was a long shampoo commercial made into one of the best horror movies of all time. Like it was a lot about hair design and clothes and fashion. Like a lot of that movie was selling you a product through the main actress. Like
here's a conspiracy theory for you. What about on Game of Thrones when Daenerys had that Starbucks cup? That wasn't an accident, man. That was a lot
of people off because people are there's so many people who are so diligent and Vidal Sassoon was like main. Yeah, that was the stylist. So for Rosemary's Baby, it was Vidal Sassoon was like the main part of that movie. All production, everything was funded by them, and they made this movie. Yeah. But for Game of Thrones, I would say it pissed people off because it's just the detail. You're supposed to keep people engaged, and the Starbucks cup is not going to keep you.
How could they miss that? How could they miss that?
That's like if like Aragorn in Lord of the Rings was having like he had like a McDonald's like fries cup thing next to him.
Okay, shoot.
Like,
how did we miss that?
Well, apparently in Lord of the Rings, someone's wearing like Nikes when they're going up one of the mountains. Karathras, when they're walking up Karathras, Legolas is wearing like shoes, like sneakers, and you can see them. There's one scene in Lord of the Rings where you can tell the Hobbit feet are like fake, like they're like plastic or whatever they're made out of. And then supposedly, now this is when I heard this when they were coming out when those movies were brand new, that you could see like a minivan going by.
Yep.
One of the scenes.
I remember that one too.
I haven't seen it though. I haven't seen the minivan.
I remember reading about that too.
This
yeah,
is freaking This is like mind blowing, Joe. You're like you freaking. This is like a revelation with this new form of advertisement. It's just like I think you're really onto something. It's like everything's subliminal. You know, I probably.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, even there's like I'm pretty sure I heard this and some guy was talking about how like Taylor Swift records songs that make you want to like buy golf apparel in like malls.
Dude. What?
I don't know about that.
No. I think that's true. I think that's true.
I read that.
It's got to be true.
I do believe that if you take away commercials,
kitty cat,
from TV, that's true. If you take away commercials from TV, like they're. Come on, dude. Wait till I put this stuff out.
Is he eating?
Yeah, he's eating right out of the can before I can actually like deliver it. But I think that advertisement's always going to be there, and I think a lot of us kind of tune out, especially on YouTube. How many times when YouTube pops up with an ad, you just wait to hit the skip button? That's all you do.
Everybody.
Right.
So they know that. So the people that are making money off advertisements, they all know that because they're doing it too. So how else to make people buy a shirt or buy a coat or buy a car than having, Captain America pull up in it, or you know what I mean?
Like Transformers, the Chevy Camaro and Transformers, the yellow one.
Yeah, like you're going subconsciously, you're gonna be like, well, what kind of car guy am I, or what kind of clothes do I want to wear? You're not gonna remember that you saw this person in this movie wear this or drive this when you make your decision. You're going just to remember, hey, this makes me feel good when I'm looking at it, so that's what I want to do. That's what I want to buy.
Yeah,
that's what
it's the
and you're doing it from this happy subliminal message of Captain America pulling up to Tony Stark's house in an Audi, or Daenerys drinking Starbucks. No, I'm just kidding. That's what you're gonna do. Like, I mean, I do it. We all do it.
Right.
Dude, this is like crazy. I got to dig more into that. I'm gonna do some research. We're gonna have like a expose episode where we bust the door open on hidden Netflix advertisements. That's gonna be a next episode.
Yeah, well, you're all trying to figure out, and me too. Like, how are they making money? Like, that would make sense.
Because they're like, no, and that makes perfect sense. Why they don't give a shit if you give your login information to everybody. They don't give it.
They're making money off the advertisements that are in all of the movies and shows.
Yeah, and they're telling you like, we know you're giving your login here's a link to make it easier. I'm thinking like, oh, that's awfully nice of them. I guess they're just.
I wonder if they're sitting in a conference room and they're all like, they're falling right into our plan.
Yes.
Those fucking assholes are falling right into our plan.
Sheep. Yep. They're all sheep.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh my god,
dude.
Hey Joe, I feel bad. We kept you for like almost 2 hours. I feel like
I love it. This was so much fun.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, please come back and like just shoot the shit with us again, like 100%. As soon as possible, because so much fun talking to you. I feel like we could talk forever about anything.
Yeah. I just love a lot of stuff. I'm a huge nerd and I love music, and I deep dive in a lot of random stuff. I know more stuff. A lot of shinfo, like a lot of. Dude, so much, especially with movies and film. I always come across people that know more about these things and can deep dive more, but I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. Definitely watch The Lighthouse and let me know.
I will. That's the next thing I'm going to do.
I love
do
it
me a
because it
favor.
showed me distortion through sound design of a movie. I've never had a movie like just smash me with this distortion on this specific scene. I don't know what you really call it. It's not really like, it wasn't an effect. Like it wasn't like something fell and that's why they're doing it. They're more doing it for like a psychological effect on the scene and characters and on the viewer. And I really feel like it reaches through the TV and it's like, yo,
right.
And it's just crazy. But watch that and let me know what you think. Definitely rewatch the ending of The Matrix and tell me I'm wrong with this.
Dude, I don't know. I'm still skeptical. I remain, but I will give it. I will watch with an objective mindset. I will.
Joe, do us a favor. Do us a favor. Get your best pair of headphones and check out Asia by Steely Dan with those headphones.
Yes,
I will.
Definitely.
100% will. What song? What song in particular?
The whole
Honestly, the whole album's only 7 songs. I actually love short albums, and it's only 7 songs. It's like maybe 35 minutes or so, but every song for me is a winner. It's called Asia, AJA, Asia.
Okay.
Okay. Right off the bat, you'll recognize one of the songs. I'm pretty sure a hip hop artist sampled it, and it got really popular from when he did it.
Right.
But yeah, it's actually my favorite album of all time. I think you really appreciate how crisp it is on headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna like it, dude. Yeah, especially on a good.
I'm actually about to go watch It Chapter 2 because I told my wife we watched it the other day for our anniversary, and I was like, let's give this movie one more shot, and then we'll close the door on it.
It's okay. It's good.
Yeah,
I like it. It's okay.
I'm already going into it. I'm already angry going into it, so we'll see.
Not as good as the first one. It's
right.
Agreed. Stand By Me was the main essence of the first It, like the newer It, without it's what they were going for. And now that you don't have all the scenes with the kids, and there's more scenes with the adults, it takes you away from what that is. So, all right, guys. But thank you so much for having me. I will love to do another one. This was amazing.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, dude. Thanks again for coming on.
We would love to. So much fun. Thanks so much, man.
Later.
See you.
All right, take care. Bye. See ya.